Late one Thursday this week, a judge in New Mexico did something courts almost never do. He wrote a rule book for Instagram: no push notifications for teenagers overnight, time limits for anyone under 18, privacy settings switched on by default, and of course, prove your age. The bill for Meta came to $942 million. But hidden inside that ruling is a knot no amount of money untangles. Every protection the judge ordered is aimed at children specifically. No overnight notifications for minors, prove your age. But a platform can't see who is a child. So the moment you decide to treat kids differently, you have to inspect everyone just to tell them apart. And a privacy law from 1998, written to protect children, makes inspecting the youngest ones illegal. Here's what happened. Back in March, after a 7-week trial, a New Mexico jury found that Meta, the company behind Facebook and Instagram, had knowingly built products that harmed children's mental health and had hidden what it knew about the sexual exploitation of children on its platforms. The jury didn't call this an accident or an oversight. It called it unconscionable business practice, a violation of the state's consumer protection law. This week came the price: $942 million, much of it set aside to treat the young people already harmed. Then the judge did the unusual part. He ordered Meta to redesign the app. Stronger age checks, protection against sextortion, blackmail with nude images, no overnight notifications for minors, screen time limits. Meta says it will peel. But here's the thing to notice. This is one ruling in one state from one judge, and 40 other states are suing Meta over the same harm, each in its own courtroom. There is no national law telling Instagram how to protect children. So judges are writing the design instead, one state at a time, and every one of them runs into the same wall. Because the argument everyone is having, should platforms have to verify your age, yes or no, is the wrong argument. It quietly assumes there is only one way to protect a child. First, figure out which users are children. And that single assumption is where the whole thing goes sideways. To find the children in a crowd, you have to check the ID of everyone in the crowd. So the real question isn't whether to check harder. It's whether protecting kids has to mean building a cage around all of us. Think about what verify your age actually requires. A website cannot see how old you are. To know you're not 12, it has to ask you to prove you're not, with an ID, a face scan, a credit card, something real. And it can't check only the children, because to single them out, it would first have to know who the children are, the very thing it doesn't know. So it has to check everyone, every adult, proving who they are to enter a space they used to enter anonymously. That is the cage, not a metaphor, a literal identity checkpoint bolted onto the front door of the internet. And it brings two costs that arrive together. The first, anonymity ends. The whistleblower, the abuse survivor in a support group, the person quietly reading about a diagnosis they haven't told anyone, all of them now show ID at the door. The second, somebody has to store all those IDs and face scans, which turns every platform into a vault of the most sensitive data imaginable, sitting there waiting to be breached. And here is the part that should give everyone pause. The cage doesn't even work. Australia built the purest version, a nationwide ban on social media for anyone under 16, live since December. 3 months in, researchers found more than 85% of under 16s were still online. They used VPNs. They uploaded a selfie with a mustache drawn on. Some just typed in a different birthday. And the government's response was not to rethink the design, it was to double the fines. When a lock doesn't hold, the instinct is always a bigger lock. Now back to that judge in New Mexico and the wall he hit. He wanted stronger age checks, but he could not order the one that matters most, proving whether a user is under 13. Because to check a child's age, you first have to handle a child's data. And handling a child's data is the exact thing a law from 1998 forbids. COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, written to keep kids' information out of corporate hands. Sit with that. A privacy law written to protect children now blocks the tool meant to protect them. Keep their data private and keep them safe. The two goals are pointed straight at each other, and every one of those 40 courtrooms hits the same wall. It is the slowest, most piecemeal way imaginable to regulate a product used by 100 million people, and it means the two designs that might actually escape the cage never get built because nobody with the power to write them is writing them. So what would escaping the cage look like? Two designs already exist, and each has an honest price. The first, stop asking how old people are and simply make the product safer for everyone. Don't build a checkpoint and remove the features that do the harm. No infinite scroll that won't let you stop. No autoplay after midnight. No notifications engineered to pull someone back at 2 a.m. for anyone. If the product is safe by default, you never need to know who is a child because it stops mattering. The cost of that route is that it treats every adult like a child too. California tried to write this approach into law, and the courts drew a sharp line through it. The law did two different things. One part dictated design and detail, banning the manipulative tricks called dark patterns, setting rules on data. Those parts were struck down. Telling a company exactly how to build its product comes too close to telling it what to say, a free speech violation. But another part gave platforms a choice. Either work out which users are children or simply switch everyone to the safe settings by default. That part survived precisely because a company can obey it without checking anyone's age at all. The design that never asks how old you are turned out to be the one the Constitution allows. The second escape is newer and stranger. Prove your age without revealing who you are. Cryptographers have built what's called a zero-knowledge proof, a way for a trusted source, your bank or your government, to vouch that you are over 18 and hand the website one bit of information, yes or no. No name, no birthday, no document. Europe is piloting exactly this. Google has released the tools for free. It is the cage without the bars, but the price is real too. The system is young, and in April, the European version was hacked. The source that vouches for you can quietly become a log of everywhere you went, and if you have no bank and no ID, there is no one to vouch for you at all. Notice what none of these is. Check harder. Each is a different answer to the same question. How do you keep children safe without making everyone show their papers? So step back to that $942 million ruling. It's easy to read it as a story about one company finally getting caught. The harder, more useful story sits underneath. A society decided it wanted to protect children online and discovered it had never chosen how. So the job fell to juries and judges, improvising in the dark, blocked by a privacy law from before most of these platforms existed, reaching by default for the one tool everyone already argues about: check everyone's age. There may be good reasons to build that checkpoint, but it is a choice and its price is measured in everyone's anonymity, and it is not the only design on the table. So next time someone says the answer is simply to verify age, the useful question isn't yes or no. It's whose design is this? Who wrote it? And does keeping one child safe really require caging the rest of us?